etc. We've got log information here, and we're just going to put output, this is the home page. Login is an essential part to an ASP.NET Core application. Logs can be written with the extension methods that are included in the iLogger interface. In this video, we'll have a look at how ASP.NET Core login works and how to configure it with a logger provider. We will show you how to write a log, the different log levels that are available, and how to write a log to a logger provider. For more ASP.NET Core tutorials, visit roundthecode.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/roundthecode, and follow us on LinkedIn at roundthecode.com/LinkedIn. How login works in ASP.NET Core. When creating an ASP.NET Core project, an app settings JSON file is created that looks similar to this. Inside the login object, there is a log level object. Within that, there are a number of JSON tokens contained within it. The token's key represents the namespace of the log level, and the value represents at what level do we start writing logs. In terms of log levels, it uses the log level enum, which is included in the Microsoft Extensions.login namespace. These are the log level enum fields that are available, including their name, value, and the iLogger extension method we can use to write a log at that level. The way it works in appsettings.json is that the enum value represents the severity of the log. When we specify a log level, it will write a log at a level that is equal or higher to its enum value, excluding the none field. So if we were to set a log level with the warning field, it would also write logs that have the error field and critical field. It's also worth noting that a deeper namespace would take priority. In this example, a log would be written if it was inside the Microsoft.hosting.lifetime namespace and had the information field set as part of its log level. However, if the log event was written inside the Microsoft.hosting namespace and had the information level set, the log would not be written. This is because we are specified not to write logs inside the Microsoft assembly unless the log level has a severity that is equal or higher to the warning field. Now that we know how login works, it's time to write a log into an ASP.NET Core MVC application. So this is our home controller, and the first thing we want to do is we want to inject the iLogger interface into our controller. Within that, there's a generic type of category name. Typically, you'd call this the class that we're logging. So in this instance, it's home controller. I'm going to name it logger. I'm going to store that instance into a private read-only field. So I'm going to set it the same type, and the name is going to be _logger. Then it's a case of setting the private field to the parameter that we're passing in. We go into our index action now, which will represent our home page. We're going to write an information log. So if we look at the different extension methods that we've got in iLogger, we've got log critical, debug, error, etc. We've got log information here. And we're just going to put output, this is the home page. So that's how you go about implementing login in an ASP.NET Core application. ASP.NET Core has a number of built-in login providers available that are part of the shared framework. They are console, debug, event source, and event log. With appsettings.json, we can specify different log levels depending on the login provider that we are using. Here is an example of setting the log level for all providers and how to override it for the console provider. By default, the Microsoft namespace has been set so all login providers write a log with a warning level or higher. However, with the console login provider, we have overridden this so it writes a log with a trace level or higher. Time to test out the console provider in an ASP.NET Core MVC application. So this is our appsettings.json file, and we've got our login set for all providers. One thing to note is that we've got roundthecode.login.controller set as information. So if we go into home controller, we can see that the namespace is roundthecode.login.controllers, and we can see there on the index page that we're logging in information of this is the home page. Let's run the application out and see it in action. So that's the home page that's loaded up. We can see there we've got our entry in there that says this is the home page. We're overriding the settings for the console login provider, but we haven't actually set any assemblies yet or log levels. We're going to do that though with roundthecode.login.controllers. For the console, We only want to log any entries if the level is warning or higher. So let's go ahead and add that in. Let's run the application now. So if we refresh the home page, we look at our entry for the console login provider, we can see there that it hasn't added it because the severity of information is not as high as warning. Now that we know how ASP.NET Core login works, we can start to think about what we want to log and how we want to store them. Login is very important, particularly for a task that is running in the background. It makes it a lot easier to debug the application and ensure that the application is running as it should be. Thanks very much for watching, and hit a like on the video.